As an international student, you might have heard about some myths or some things about Australia which may not be true. So in this video, we will try to bust some of these myths and we'll try to give you what's the actual reality about the thing. Just before we get started with these things, couple of disclaimers. The first one is that this video is not about discouraging you for studying in Australia. Of course, you're watching this video because you have a potential interest to study here. So the idea behind this video is to prepare you better when you're coming here, so you don't have these myths or things that you are thinking in your mind that may not be true. And second thing is that we are not migration agents. So in the information we are going to give you is based on our research from the Department of Home Affairs and our personal experiences as well. If you have specific questions about your circumstances, I suggest you to speak to a registered migration agent. That being done, let's go to our first and the biggest myth, which is studying in Australia means you are guaranteed to get Australian permanent residency, also known as PR. Now you might have heard this from your friends or maybe through some education agent that once you complete your study, you can go on and get your permanent residency of Australia. The reality cannot be far away from that. Now there are chances that some students who come and study here and after completing their studies, they go on to develop the skills that Australia need and then they can have a pathway for the permanent residency. And that's how I got through with my own permanent residency as well. And there is nothing wrong with that. And the good thing is that in the new GS requirement, which is the genuine student requirement, the Department of Home Affairs also acknowledged the same thing, that some students who are coming to Australia might end up developing the skills that Australia actually need and then they go on to become Australian PR. But now let's come to the reality side of the things. When I say some, it means only few handful of students will be able to get that permanent residency, not everyone. Because there are so many factors that comes into play after completing your studies and to apply for a permanent residency. Factors such as your age, the course you have completed, if that course is of at least 2 years, and if that course leads to a job role that is listed in the skilled occupation list, your English language scores, your work experience, and many other factors. So while it could be possible for some students that they go on to become a permanent resident after completing their studies, it will not be possible for every student to do so. And if your migration agent or an education consultant is guaranteeing you that you will be able to definitely get Australian PR after your studies, they're probably telling you a lie. So if you are keen to know more about it, I suggest you to check the Department of Home Affairs website where they have listed all the skilled occupations that are currently in demand. And then you can research whether that is linked to the study you are completing. Just keep in mind that this skilled occupation list gets updated every single year. So there is a chance that the course that you are seeing it today in this list may not be there in the next few weeks just because it gets updated regularly. Also just keep in mind that in-demand jobs in Australia does not mean that they are in the skilled occupation list. Some jobs that are in demand may not be on that skilled occupation list. So I highly suggest you to speak to a registered migration agent if you have desires to become an Australian permanent resident after completing your studies. Just keep in mind that even though in the new GS requirement, the Department of Home Affairs acknowledges the fact of students becoming permanent resident, they also clearly mention that students should be coming here genuinely for studies only. The sole purpose of getting a student visa to actually get a good quality education here in Australia and not to use it as a backdoor for either work visa or some other permanent visas. Let's move on to the second myth, which is about all the universities are same. While you do expect a certain level of quality of education from each education provider here in Australia, and they are usually regulated by the different authorities. So for example, higher education is regulated by TEXCA and the vocational education is regulated by ESPWA. These are the two different authorities that look after making sure that there is a quality provided to international students for the education. And not only for international students but for domestic students as well. But the reality is when it comes to some other things such as the campus facilities, the campus culture itself, the ranking of the university and the courses offered by universities, they are usually quite different from one university to the other. And some universities do specialize in certain areas and in certain fields of study. Just for one example here, Monash University in Melbourne is known for their pharmacy courses and is the top ranked university in Australia for that. Monash University also ranks ranks for other courses really well too, but that is an example of a specialization. So when choosing a course, it's very important for you to do your research about what type of university you are choosing. As I said, there could be difference in the facilities that are offered by some universities to the others, the courses that they offer, and the campus experience itself as well. So don't get surprised when you come here in Australia and you find your university is only in one building, or it is so huge that it is spread over many acres of land. And most likely you're going to also find that the study style is quite different from your home country as well. Now there would be similarities such as lectures, tutorials and so on, but when it comes to learning and teaching here in Australia, a lot of emphasis is on the practical approach and trying to make learning as an interactive experience for the students. And there is a lot of emphasis on independent and self-learning as well. So it can be a bit challenging for the new international students to adjust to these new learning styles. So when choosing your course or university, it's very critical for you to do a proper research regarding their rankings, the reviews on Google itself, and maybe speak to some students before signing up for a specific university. And if you want to know which university is good for which type of subject, we've got a separate article on that on our website, where we have listed the top universities by the subject. So for example, if you're going to do accounting course or a medicine course or pharmacy course or engineering, graphic design or so on, we have got pretty much all the top universities for some of these courses. You will find that link in the description box below. The next myth on our list is finding a part-time job is quite easy. While I would say it's not really impossible to get a job in Australia, especially a part-time job, and Australia's unemployment rate is pretty stable around 3.7% as well, and it's considered to be quite low, but it has become a bit more difficult to get a part-time job as compared to a couple of previous years. So if you compare today's job market with after pandemic, we can see that at that time the students who just arrived after pandemic, they could easily get a job and there were multiple job offers available. Some employers were even offering higher pay rates to students and other migrant workers to get into the jobs. But now over the last 2 years, more international students, backpackers and other temporary migrants have come back to Australia. There are obviously less jobs available comparing to previous couple of years. Again, I would not say that there is no jobs available in the market, but it is taking a bit longer to get a part-time job these days. So previously, students could have come and got a job within the first week of arriving, and nowadays it is like maybe 3-4 weeks before a student can get a job. We do get lots of messages through our Instagram and some other social media channels regarding finding a part-time job or helping them to find a part-time job. So my suggestion would be that if you are coming as an international student, be prepared for at least a couple of months with your finances and your funds in case you don't get a job within that time frame. And if you're finding it a bit difficult to get a job, it might be a good idea for you to look into some gig work like DoorDash deliveries or Uber Eats to get started with paying off your bills. If you want to sign up with the DoorDash, we've got a link in the description box below, which will land you directly on their Dasher sign up page. The next big myth is about I can pay my own university fee with the part-time work in Australia. And I mentioned here university fees. I'm not going to talk about vocational education programs as they usually tend to be cheaper than the university courses. If you look at these numbers, vocational courses cost around anywhere from $4,000 to $20,000 per course. However, if you look at bachelor's degree, that is around $20,000 to $45,000 per year. Master's course can be $22,000 to $50,000 per year, and doctoral courses can be from $18,000 to $42,000 per year. So you can clearly see that there is a huge difference if you are doing a bachelor degree or a vocational program. And my own personal experience, because I teach vocational courses in Australia, the course that I'm currently teaching, it's a 1-year course and the total fee is around $10,000. That works out to be roughly around $200 per week. If you compare that to a university course, that could be around $30,000 to $40,000 per year. That's quite a different story then. Now you have to consider also that the cost of living in Australia has gone up considerably over the last couple of years. So in my personal opinion, it can be quite difficult, if not impossible, for students to pay their university fee while working part-time. In my own experience as an international student, out of the 4 semester fees, I only managed to pay a couple of fees through my my own part-time work. There's also one semester known as summer semester I took off as well. I worked full-time in that semester to cover some of that fee. So while it might be possible for you to pay off some part of a portion of your fee, paying off your complete university fee is quite difficult. We have actually explained that with a really good example in one of our previous videos as well. So if you want to check that, please check the link in the description box below. There's a video where I show you the calculations with an example as well. So my suggestion would be, if you are coming here to study, just make sure that you plan ahead with your finances, with your family as well. How you're going to fund your study while you are studying. Because if you're going to put too much pressure on yourself for working too much or just trying to cover your fee by yourself by working part-time, you're gonna put a lot of pressure on yourself and your studies as well. So while it is easy to pay your day-to-day living expenses, again, I would like to emphasize that it might be difficult to pay your university fee. Next one on our list is post-study work visas gets automatically granted after completing your study. The reality is, no, they're not. I understand in some countries, students automatically get post-study work visa after completing their studies. It's not the case with Australia. You need to apply for a separate visa in order to get that post-study work visa. This is also known as temporary graduate visa or visa subclass 485. And interestingly, not every student can apply for that. You need to meet some requirements in order to apply for this visa. And of course, there is a fee involved for that as well. Again, there are some requirements such as age, which they are going to reduce from 50-year-old to 35-year-old in the middle of the year. English scores, which they have just increased as well, and also you need to meet a course requirements. And the duration of your post-study work visa will depend upon what type of qualification you have completed. So for example, if you have completed a diploma course, you could be eligible up to 18 months. If you have done a bachelor's degree, you could be eligible for up to 2 years. And again, there are some other things to keep in mind, such as your location. You could get additional year of post-study work visa if you are studying in some regional locations. Just keep in mind that they are not automatically granted. You need to meet the key eligibility criteria and application requirements in order to get a post-study work visa in Australia. Next myth on our list is all cities in Australia are similar. Now you might have seen some advertisements from Tourism Australia, which most of the time shows you about beautiful beaches that we have here in Australia. And that I agree with 100%. But in reality, the climate and many other things vary from one city to the other. So for example, if you live in cities like Brisbane, Darwin, Cairns, they've got a subtropical climate. However, if you live in cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Hobart, Canberra, it gets quite cold for them during the winters. So not Australian cities are same. Some cities are a bit more warmer in terms of climate, while the others are colder. And also, Australian cities are known for their different things. For example, Sydney is known for their iconic harbour and beaches. Melbourne is known for its art and cultural scene and their coffee as well, while Brisbane is known for their subtropical climate and outdoor lifestyle. Perth is known for its close proximity to beautiful beaches and natural attractions, and Adelaide is known for its wine regions and their festivals. So there is something unique in each Australian city you will find. If you're not sure which city to choose for your studies, don't worry, we've got you sorted here as well. We've got a really good quiz on our website which will help you to understand which city might suit you better. This will be based on your own preferences and the things you like, and hopefully it'll give you really interesting results based on those preferences. Last myth on our list is Australia is an unsafe country. So there are a lot of people out there thinking that Australia is all about snakes, spiders and sharks. While there is no denial that there is a lot of wildlife here in Australia, but the reality is that in most urban areas, you would hardly see these things. In my own experience of living in Australia for more than 15 years, I've hardly seen any of these dangerous wildlife, except spiders sometimes here and there, but not all spiders are dangerous as well. Only the redback ones are a bit more dangerous, but luckily I haven't seen one of them. I'm not hoping to see one of them either. Apart from wildlife, Australia has one of the lowest crime rates in the world. Of course, there will be areas in the neighborhoods in some cities which you would like to avoid at all costs and use some common sense in certain times of the day, such as in the darker areas and so on. But you will find these things in other parts of the world anyways as well. But generally speaking, Australians are very friendly people and you will find them quite welcoming and inclusive when you come here. And Australia is a proud multicultural society. So you will get to meet people from all different kind of cultures and countries countries here in Australia as well. So in my personal experience, I can easily say that Australia is quite a safe and welcoming place. So these were the top 7 myths that we wanted to discuss in this video. Now it's your turn. I would like to hear from you. What myths have you heard about Australia? And if you want to write them down in the comment section below, we'll try to make another part of this video where we can bust some more myths. If you do find this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Now if you are planning to study in Australia, we've got a really detailed video about the whole process of studying here. Check this video about Ultimate Guide to Study in Australia. You will find pretty much all the information you need about studying here. So click on that link here and I'll see you there.